Daniel 10. It was in the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia. A matter was revealed to Daniel, who was named Belteshazzar. The matter was true, but for a long time off, to understand the matter and to explain it to him through a vision. In those days, I, Daniel, had been mourning for 3 weeks of days. I ate no desirable bread, meat or wine did not enter my mouth, and I did not anoint myself, until the completion of 3 weeks of days. Then, on the 24th day of the 1st month, I was next to the great river, which is Hiddekel. I raised my eyes and saw, behold, one man clothed in linen, his loins girded with fine gold. His body was like Tarshish, his face like the appearance of lightning, his eyes like flaming torches, and his arms and legs like the color of burnished copper. The sound of his words loud as the sound of a multitude. I, Daniel, alone saw the vision. The people who were with me did not see the vision, but a great fear fell upon them, and they fled into hiding. So I remained alone. I saw this great vision. No strength remained in me. My robustness changed to pallor, and I could retain no strength. I heard the sound of his words, and when I heard the sound of his words, I was in a deep sleep upon my face, with my face toward the ground. Behold, a hand touched me and moved me onto my knees and the palms of my hands. He said to me, Daniel, greatly beloved man, understand the words that I speak to you, and stand in your place, for I have been sent to you now. As he spoke these words to me, I stood a tremble. He said to me, Do not fear, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart to understand and to fast before your God, your words have been heard, and I have come because of your words. But the heavenly prince of the Persian kingdom stood opposed to me for 21 days, until Michael, one of the foremost heavenly princes, came to help me, for I had remained there alone beside the kings of Persia. I have come to make you understand what will befall your people in the end of days, for there is yet a vision for those days. As he spoke these words to me, I set my face toward the ground, and I was dumbfounded. Then behold, one with the likeness of a human being touched my lips. I opened my mouth and spoke, and I said to the one standing opposite me, My Lord, during the vision my joints shuddered, and I could retain no strength. How can this servant of my Lord speak with this Lord of mine? From now on, no strength will remain in me, and there is no breath left in me. Then he, the likeness of a human being, touched me again and strengthened me. He said, Fear not, greatly beloved man. Peace to you. Grow stronger and stronger. As he spoke to me, I strengthened myself, and I said, Speak, my Lord, for you have strengthened me. He said, Do you know why I came to you? Now I will return to do battle with the heavenly prince of Persia. Then I will depart. But behold, the heavenly prince of Greece approaches. However, I will tell you what is inscribed in truthful writing. No one reinforces me against these except your heavenly prince, Michael. Daniel 11. And I, in the 1st year of Darius the Mede, stood up as a support and stronghold for him. Now, I will tell you the truth. Behold, 3 more kings will arise for Persia. The 4th will acquire the greatest wealth of them all. And when he grows strong with his riches, he will arouse all of his kingdom against the kingdom of Greece. A mighty king will then arise. He will rule with great domination, and he will do as he pleases. But after he has risen, his kingdom will be broken and will be divided into the 4 directions of the heaven, but not to his posterity. Nor will it be like his dominion with which he ruled. For his kingdom will be uprooted, and for others besides these. The king of the south will grow stronger than his enemy and his nobles, and he will overpower him and rule. His dominion will be a great dominion. At the end of many years they will join together, and the daughter of the king of the south will come to the king of the north to establish uprightness. But she will not restrain the power of the strong arm, nor will the king nor his arm withstand. So she and those who brought her will be surrendered, as well as the one who fathered her, and he who supported her in times of need. A scion from her roots will stand firmly on his foundation. He will confront the army of, and enter the stronghold of, the king of the north. He will succeed against them and overpower. Also, he will bring their gods and their princes, with their precious vessels of silver and gold, into captivity to Egypt. And he will stand secure for years against the king of the north. He will enter the kingdom of the king of the south, but he will return to his soil. Then the northern king's sons will stir themselves up and gather a multitude of great armies. He will then launch an attack, inundate, and pass through. Then he will once again stir himself up, right up to the south stronghold. The king of the south will become embittered to go out and battle with him, with the king of the north. He will raise a great multitude, but that multitude will be delivered into the south's hand. Then the multitude of the north will feel uplifted, and their hearts will be proud. But although they will cut down myriads of their enemies, they will not prevail. The king of the north will once again raise a multitude greater than the first. And at the end of the times, several years, he will launch an attack with a great army and with vast resources. In those times, many will rise up against the king of the south. The sons of the lawless men of your people will exalt themselves to establish a vision, but they will stumble. The king of the north will come and pour out a mound and conquer a fortified city. The arms of the south will not hold out. His chosen warriors will have no strength to withstand it. The invader will then do to the southern king as he pleases, and none will stand in his way. He will also stand in the coveted land with annihilation in his hand. He will set his face to penetrate the strength of the southern king's whole kingdom and the upright ones who are with him, and he will succeed. He will give over to him the daughter among women to destroy her, but he will not succeed, and she will not be his. Then he will turn his attention toward isles. He will conquer many, but the commander will cause his insolence to cease. For his insolence alone he will punish him. Then he will direct himself toward the strongholds of his homeland, and he will stumble and fall and not be found. There will arise in his place one whose glory of kingship is the overthrow of the oppressor. Yet in a few years it will be broken, but neither through an enemy's wrath nor through war. Then in its place will stand a contemptible one, upon whom they did not confer the glory of kingship. He will come in peace, attaining kingship through treachery. The powers that had swept away others will themselves be swept away before him and will be broken, as well as the prince of the covenant. Through alliance with him, he will act with deceit, and he will come up and gain power with a small nation. He will come in peace. Into the richest parts of the province he will come, and he will do what his fathers and forefathers did not do. Among his allies, he will distribute booty, spoils, and wealth, and he will devise his plans against their fortresses until the time. He will stir up his strength and his heart against the king of the south with a great army. The king of the south will confront him in war with an exceedingly great and powerful army. But he will not withstand, for they will devise plans against him. For those who eat of his food will break him. He will then sweep away his army, and many slain will fall. As for the two kings, their hearts will be to do harm. At one table they conspire deceitfully, but it will not succeed, for there is yet an end for the appointed time. He will return to his land with great wealth, with his heart opposed to the holy covenant. Having succeeded, he will return to his land. At a set time he will come once again to the south, but he will not be as successful as the first time, nor as the last time. Ships of Kittim will come against the south, and he will be weakened. He will then return. Then he will be upset at the holy covenant and act accordingly. Then he will return and contemplate those who have forsaken the covenant of sanctity. Arms will arise from him and will profane the fortified sanctuary. They will abolish the daily offering and will install the mute abomination. He will glibly flatter those who corrupt the covenant. But the people who know their God will persevere and accomplish. Wise men among the people will give understanding to the multitudes. They will stumble by the sword and by flame, through captivity and through plunder for years. But when they stumble, they will be helped with a little help. For many will come to their aid through glibness. Some of the wise men will stumble in clarifying these words, and in elucidating and interpreting when the time of the end will be, for it is not yet the designated time. The king will do as he pleases, and he will glorify and exalt himself over every god, and he will utter fantastic things against the God of the mighty. Yet he will succeed until God's fury is terminated, for that which was decreed will have been executed. He will not give consideration to the God of Israel's ancestors, nor to the desirable among women, nor will he give consideration to any god, for he will aggrandize himself above everything. But he will honor the God of the fortress when in his place, and he will honor a God whom his ancestors did not know, with gold, with silver, with precious stones, and with desirable objects. And he will build strong fortresses in honor of a strange God. He will accord great honor to whomever he acknowledges. He will empower them over the multitudes, and he will apportion land at a price. Then, at the time of the end, the king of the south will clash with him, and the king of the north will storm against him with chariot, horsemen, and many ships. He will invade countries, flood them, and pass through. Then he will invade the coveted land. Many will stumble, but these will be saved from his hand: Edom, Moab, and the choice parts of the children of Ammon. He will stretch forth his hand against lands, and the land of Egypt will not be a survivor. He will gain control of the caches of gold and silver and all the desirables of Egypt, with Lubians and Cushites crushed in his footsteps. But news from the east and the north will alarm him, and he will set out in great anger to destroy and annihilate many. He will pitch the tents of his palace between the seas and the holy, coveted mountain. There he will come to his end, and none will help him. Daniel 12. At that time Michael will stand, the great heavenly prince who stands in support of the members of your people. And there will be a time of trouble such as there had never been seen since there was a nation until that time. But at that time your people will escape. Everything that is found written in this book will occur. Many of those who sleep in the dusty earth will awaken, these for everlasting life, and these for shame and everlasting abhorrence. The wise will shine like the radiance of the firmament, and those who teach righteousness to the multitudes will shine like the stars forever and ever. As for you, Daniel, obscure the matters and seal the book until the time of the end. Let many muse, and let knowledge increase. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, 2 others are standing, one on this side of the riverbank, and one on that side of the riverbank. One said to the man clothed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, "How long until the concealed end?" I heard the man clothed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, as he lifted his right hand and his left hand to the heavens, and swore by the life source of the world, that after a periods, and a half, upon the completion of the fragmenting of the hand of the holy people, all these would be finished. I heard this, but I did not comprehend it. So I said, "My Lord, what is the end of these matters?" He said, "Go, Daniel, for these matters are obscured and sealed until the time of the end. They will be elucidated, clarified, and refined by many people. The wicked will act wickedly, and none of the wicked will understand, but the wise will understand. From the time the daily offering was removed and the mute abomination put in place, 1,290 years. Praiseworthy is he who awaits and reaches 1,335 years. As for you, go to your end. You will rest. Then arise for your portion at the end of days.
Okay, then that was the entire book of Daniel. You know, the stories here as they are written align fairly closely to historical events. I'm reading the book of Daniel, published by Art Scroll. In it is a considerable amount of commentary, which comes directly from these extremely well-educated and well-versed Jewish scholars. In this commentary section, there is a reference of meeting Alexander the Great at the entrance of the Jerusalem gate by that time's sitting high priest, Josephus. An author of the book of Israeli Antiquities cites that these priests showed Alexander the Great the Daniel prophecies regarding him. This is amazing. And also it's a little bit chickly. What do you think was passing through his mind? Finally, we have this last chapter of Daniel, which is enormous. The dead will come back to life. There will be judgment. The judgment will pass. A decision will be made. Restoration will exist. Then the dead will be brought back to life. Those who have died and are evil, they're going to be sent off. This is where they will experience shame and misery and all these sorts of things that nobody wants to experience. And that's what they're going to have forever. But then those people who have died and they were believers, they will be brought back to life and they will enjoy life. And it will be an everlasting life. Of course, this sounds vastly superior to shame and embarrassment, but what is everlasting life? Daniel asks to understand when all of these things are going to take place, and the angel says, a time, a times, and half a time. And naturally, this is super easy to understand. So Daniel asks for a little bit more clarification. The angel says, don't worry about it. And that's it. So what do we get from this book? Clearly, we see some things regarding the end of time, potentially the literal end of time. And I'm not so sure that these are things that are particularly easy to understand. But I think it's reasonable to be assured that there is a day of judgment coming. Seems like the evil being punished, that makes sense, and people who are good being rewarded, that makes sense. Also, we see pretty clearly that the system where a high priest, one man, performs religious tasks, and all of these rules are followed, and every person governs themselves according to those rules, and thereby they honor God because of their belief, that system is completely gone. Daniel's prophecies include people of the temple being used as stumbling blocks. This last false prophet, he's going to get into the temple because he's going to lie and they're going to believe him. So somehow their belief system is going to be used against them. I keep saying we could do a whole thing just on these prophet messages, but that might be for the next go around. The book of Malachi is next. Thank you very much for watching. The NQE is out.